Good morning, Rinpoche.
Hello.
Yeah,
Good morning,
Rinpoche.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good morning.
Good morning, Brother Hong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tashi dele. Mayo singular.
Good morning, Rinpoche. How are you today, Rinpoche?
Yes. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Doing good. Yeah.
Shall we start,
Okay.
Rinpoche?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sangye chedan tsoye chonam la janju pardo dane gyatso chi nage chushe gebe sunam chola penjere sangye chobora shu sangye chedan tsoye chonam la janju pardo dane gyatso chi nage chushe gebe sunam ge chola penjere sangye chobora shu sangye chedan tsoye chonam la janju pardo dane da ye ju je ye be zanam ye do la ben je re sang ye do ba ra sho zo je be ye ju je me do da ma je ra ye je Yende oinge moende sange oishindo mende oime wai droge namai doi shilo Jumbar joye dama gurura mendala gamne yandara yani. Oh yeah. So greetings to everyone, and then so we will continue. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Uh, we will continue from where we left off last week, which is the suffering of. So we left off at the suffering of the gods and the demigods.
Yeah.
No, so we're gonna start from demigods today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the worst for the mm, yeah. So I think there's only one verse for the Asura. Mm.
Um, yeah.
One verse. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just read it. Okay, where is it? Okay. Oh yeah. So so one verse for the Asuras, and then one more verse for verse number we are covering verse number 102. If you are checking the book, it's verse number 102 of the book Letter to a Friend by Nagarjuna. So I will do the lung for the lung in Tibetan. Let me 102 and 103 first. Lamin thana rangshin kila ye pela dang ji ye dunge che da lo dang den do ye tibe den ba thong wa ma chi so korwa de da la be lamin da nye wa yi da de do nam da do kya wa sam bo ma la kya wa ne ba do me ne gyu la kien ze okay, so verse number 102 and 103. Yeah.
Yeah.
So verse number 102. The Asuras begrudge the gods their splendor. Their inbred loathing thus torments their minds. Though clever, they are obscured as all their kinds, and so it is they cannot see the truth. Yeah. So the Asuras begrudge the gods their splendor. So Asuras themselves are very similar to the gods. So they have all the wealth, all the qualities of all the pleasure and the qualities that the gods enjoy. The Asuras also have almost similar, right? They also live very long life. Actually, in a way, you can say the Asuras enjoy everything that the God has. They have all the wealth, all the splendor, everything that the gods have. The Asuras also have the same thing. But the thing is, the Asuras always jealous of the wealth that the gods enjoy. So they think that the saying in English, the grass is greener on the other side. So for the Asuras is always like the other side. They are the gods, what the splendor that the gods enjoy are much better than their own. So it is their own jealousy that troubles them, not the actual qualities. So even though they have the similar qualities as the gods, but they're always jealous of that, and then they're always suffering, always in torment. Yeah. Um, so there's there's a mural painting called the Wheel of Life, Sivakolo. So basically, you have the 12 links of dependent origination, that the three higher realms, the three lower realms, the heavenly realm, everything all in one picture. Usually, we put this picture, the mural painting, outside the temples. It's called the Wheel of Life. It's basically this is the map, the blueprint or the map of samsara. So in that mural painting, that Wheel of Life painting, we have a beautiful description or depiction of the Asura realm and the God realm. Yeah. So in that picture, what we see is that there is there is a tree known as the tree of um, um, wish fulfilling tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a tree by the name of wish fulfilling tree. The actual name of the tree is different. It actually, the Paksam Gishing actually means inexpressible tree, means the qualities and the splendor of the tree cannot be explained by mere words. So it's called inexpressible tree. But usually in English, it's translated as the wish fulfilling tree. Anyways, so the wish fulfilling tree. So the wish fulfilling tree grows in the land of Asuras, and it grows. It's a very big tree, and it goes all the way up. And the fruit of the tree bears fruit on the very top, right, on the branches on the top. So the tree the top of the tree actually reaches the heavenly realm. So basically, the gods are enjoying all the fruits that the tree is bearing. And even though it's the Asuras who work hard, the trunk of the tree belongs to the Asuras. They cannot enjoy the tree. Only the gods can enjoy the tree because the fruit bears on the top, not on the bottom. On the bottom is just a trunk. So this is the depiction of the Asura realm and the Deva realm, Devalok realm. Deva is God, Asura is the demigod. So that's how it's depicted in the Wheel of Life. Yeah. So of course their how to say their argument is that they work hard to grow the tree, and then the gods are taking all the benefits. So so that's the reason they're giving. But in actuality, in reality, the demigods, right, the Asuras have all the splendor. Actually, according to the story of the Asuras, according to the story. So basically, yeah, according to the stories of the Asuras and the Devas, the Asuras are said to be even stronger than the gods. So it actually has some kind of I don't know which is copied from which one, but has very much um, the connection to the Titans and the gods. In the Greek mythologies, there's the Titans, which are actually much stronger than the gods. But then the gods, what's the story? The gods tricked the Titans into enslavement. So something similar is told in the story of how the devas, right, the gods, because Asura and Deva, this is a Eastern philosophy. Um, so even in the Eastern philosophy, there is the story of how the gods tricked the Devatas. Oh, sorry, the Asuras. The Deva means God, Asura means demigod. So the gods tricked the demigods because the demigods are much stronger, and then about to take over the land of gods. So therefore, the gods tricked them into enslavement, or some sort of trickery was there. And so there's a story like that. Yeah. So according to the Eastern philosophy, the story of the the Asuras and the Devas, the gods and the demigods. So there is this story in the Hindu mythology that the gods and the demigods, there's always some disagreement between the two, because the gods are always the accusation is that the gods are stealing the fruit from the Asuras tree. So basically they keep fighting, but even though the Asuras are stronger, but they somehow cannot tackle the gods, because gods have much more merit. Yeah. But it's always such a nuisance for the gods. So the gods went to Lord Vishnu. So it's a god in the Hindu mythology, Lord Vishnu, and asked Vishnu to interfere. And then so Vishnu decided to take the form of a giant turtle, right? And then they said, so there is something called the nectar, the nectar of longevity. If you drink that nectar, then you live a life of eternal life. So since the god and the demigods are always fighting, then they are like fighting. They also now both sides want to have the nectar of life. Okay. And the nectar of life is said to be dug deep inside the ocean. Okay. So in order to get the nectar of life out, you need to churn the ocean. Like you churn the butter. Yeah. So you need to churn the ocean. And by churning the ocean, only then you can take the nectar of life from the ocean, which is hidden deep down. Yeah. So there's a reason why I'm telling this story. Okay. So so just bear with me for now. So according to the mythology, what happens is that so both the gods so they have a fight over the wish fulfilling tree, which the demigods cannot do anything, because the fruit is always already up there in the heaven. Now they are fighting and fighting, and their fight become scaled to such a height that now they both claiming for the nectar of life. Which so the difference is that so according to the Hindu mythology, even though the demigods are much stronger, they don't have an eternal life. The gods have an eternal life because they drink from the ambrosia. They drink the nectar of life. Yeah, the elixir of life. So now they are claiming for that too. And then they keep fighting, and then they went to Lord Vishnu, which is the Lord of the whole universe. So they asked him to help, to intervene. So he said, I will do that. So we need to churn the ocean and all that. So so in order to churn the ocean, so you need to, when you churn something, you need some sort of a stick, right? So then you use the stick. So what they did was there's the serpent. You can call it a dragon, you can call it a snake, whatever. So it's a serpentine. So the serpent was used. So you will see that in many of the Thai and Indonesian, Thai, yeah, and Cambodian painting. There's a lot of depiction of the snake, and when the snake comes to China and Vietnam and other countries, it becomes dragon, right? It becomes more and more mystified. So anyway, so the snake was there. So the serpent was used as a rope. So the serpent was tied to this big rock. So that rock is none other than Mount Meru. Okay, you have heard of Mount Meru when we make the mandala offering, the Mount Meru. So Mount Meru was used as the rock to churn the ocean, and then they tied the serpent of the world, the big huge serpent, to the Mount Meru, and then the god and the demigods were both holding the tip of that serpent. the gods were holding the head of the gods were holding the tail of the serpent, and the demigods were holding the head of the serpent. Okay, and then they are pulling each other. If you have been to Bangkok, the moment you land in Suvarnabhumi Airport, you will see that at right before you get to the immigration. So they have this huge idol, huge image, no, huge sculpture, huge structure of this thing there. So in the middle, they put the Mount Meru in the middle, and then they churn it. So basically, so for example, this is Mount Meru, right? And then they use the serpent like this, they tie the serpent like this, and then they push like this. You have to, churn it. So the god is pushing from this side, and the demigods are pushing from that side. That the demigods are on the head side, the gods are on the tail side, and they keep, pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and they churn the ocean, and then the ambrosia or the elixir of life came out from the ocean. Yeah. So they were churning the ocean. So then when they churned the ocean, so many things came out from the ocean. So like humans, just about everything, right? Animals. So basically, this is sometimes they kind of how to say. Anyway, so a lot of things came out from the ocean, including poisonous gases, poison. So when the poisons came out from the ocean, it's such a consulta, such a poisonous gas, right? Such a terrible poison that if it comes out and spreads across the world, because before it was lying under the ocean. So when it came out from the ocean, then it's going to spread across the world. And if that happens, everyone in the world will die. So what happens then is then they asked Mahadeva, which means the great god. So that Mahadev, which means great god, it's a reference to Lord Shiva. So they invited Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva, because the reason he's called Mahadev or the great god is he's such a powerful god. So he came out and he drank all of the poison, right? So according to the mythology, okay, so I'm not making this up. So what he did was he drank the poison, but he did not ingest it. He did not, and gulp it down all the way down, because according to the legend, it is that if he drink the poison and ingest it, it's going to burn all of his stomach. Okay. So what he did is he kept it in his neck. Lord Shiva kept the poison in his neck. All the poison there is in that huge amount of poison, which will destroy the whole world. He drank all of that poison and kept it in his neck. And because of the power of the poison is very strong, the very strong poison. So it actually affected his neck, and his neck turned all purple or blue. So after that, Lord Shiva, in the Hindu mythology, Lord Shiva, from then onward is known as Nilkant. Nil means blue, Kant means neck, blue neck. So one of the name for Lord Shiva is blue neck. So right now, if you look at any Lord Shiva picture, you will see him whole body as blue. In reality, it's just the neck. It's not the whole body. The whole body is not blue. Just the neck is blue. But that would not, look very nice in the picture. So, so people, we like to adapt, right? So we create gods in our own images. So that's everywhere in all culture. So the same thing is done with Lord Shiva. So instead of, even though his name is the blue throat, so right now we have images of Lord Shiva. All his images blue, not just the neck. Anyway, so Lord Shiva consumed the poison, then kept it in his throat, and it burned his throat, and it became blue. Yeah. So back to the story. So when they were churning the ocean, they used the Mount Meru as I shared the picture in the group, so you can take a look. So they used the Mount Meru as the churning stone, right? And then when you're churning something, you need a very strong base, because you're talking about gods and demigods, so powerful, the most powerful people in the world, in the universe. So if you don't have a very strong base, it's going to shatter the ocean, the bed of the ocean. So the bed of ocean has to become very strong. So what they decided is, then because they asked Lord Vishnu, right, to intervene. So Lord Vishnu manifested or transformed into the form of a huge turtle. So it became a giant turtle, and then went under the ocean. Yeah. And then they so this is Lord Shiva turning into a turtle. So on top of the Lord Shiva, they put the Mount Meru, right? And the Mount Meru is tied by the serpent. And then the serpent is pulled on the head side by the demigods, and on the tail side by the god. So they keep pulling and pulling and pulling on each side. And then that's how they churn the ocean to make the elixir of life, yeah, come out from the ocean. Yeah. So what happened is, so now the gods and the demigods, they since they want to take the poison, so the gods this time was very kind. So the gods suggested to the demigods that okay, we have been very unfair to you all this time, because we keep the fruit of the tree, and even though the tree grows from your place, but we always take the fruit. So we have been, a little bit unfair to you. So this time we will be fair, and we will be more generous, and then we will let you take the head, okay, and we will take the tail of the serpent. So they keep pulling and pulling and pulling, but it actually ended up to be one of the trick, or another trick of the gods, because since the Asuras are pulling from the head side, which is a serpent, which is a snake, basically. So the snake is actually under the under the control or guidance of the gods. So once they started pulling and pulling, and then when they churned the ocean, so many things came out, as I said before. Poison, so many things came out, right? But when the actual Amrit, it's called Amrit. You may have heard this before, Amrita or Amrita, which means the elixir of life. Yeah. So once you drink Amrita, you will not die. So so when the Amrit was about to come out, then the god signaled to the serpent, and the serpent actually exhaled poison from their mouth. The serpent has many heads. So the serpent actually exhaled the poison, and all the demigods, the Asuras there, were pulling from the head side, started to, affected by the poison, and they become unconscious. And then they were not able to get the elixir of life. They are not able to get the Amrita. And the Amrit was taken by the god, and then they brought it to the god realm. So the 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 demigods, right? The Asuras, they did not get the fruit, and they also did not get the Amrita now. So that's how the Asuras lost the war, yeah, with the god. And then from then onwards, from then onwards, the gods always the gods become the winner, and the Asuras become the loser, and then they were always tormented and all that. So this is comes from a Hindu mythology. So of course, Hinduism, as we know, the stories of the Vishnu and the Hindu mythology, all these things predates Buddha's coming to this world. So Buddha Dharma is about 2,600, almost 600 years ago, and the Hindu mythology, the Hindu tradition, even though it's not called Hindu at that time, but so the pre-Buddhist traditions of India actually precedes Buddha Dharma by 2,000, 3,000, almost 6,000, I think 6,000 years before Buddha Dharma came, Buddha Shakyamuni came. So anyway, so there is that, okay? So now the reason I'm telling you this is because we usually take everything we take all of this for granted. When we talk about the 6 realms, we always say 6 realms. We do not say 5 realms. We always say sixth realm. When we asked what's the meaning of or what's the sixth realm, we say, oh, the 3 higher realm and the 3 lower realm and all these thing, everything. Yeah. But in the Dharma text, Dharma book, Buddha Dharma, many texts, which is not very popular in the world, but in actuality, if you have read Lamrim, then you will find that it's usually mentioned 5 or 6 realms. It's not always 6 realms. So it's 5 or 6 realms. Yeah, 5 or 6 realms. So what's the meaning of that? Is it 5 or it is 6? It cannot be both, right? What do you mean by 5 or 6 realms? So that was explained in the Lamrim as the 6th, or the Asura realm actually is part of the God realm. Asuras are none other than gods, but they are more like okay, if you want to put it in a more simple term, they are like fallen gods. Okay, so fallen gods are still gods. They are fallen from fallen out of disgrace. Yeah, fallen from grace. So they are actually God realm, God, but they were regarded as asuras because they have fallen out of grace. So according to Buddhism, when you come, because all this thing is taken from the pre-Buddhist mythology, pre-Buddhist concept, so that the sixth realm, the concept of sixth realm, everything, it's taken from the pre-Buddhist concept. In actuality, you can almost say there is no such thing as an asura, which is different from the God realm. Asuras are none other than gods. Asuras are none other than devas. Okay, you can even say up to that. For example, bad man is a man, right? Let's say bad monk is still a monk, right? He's a bad monk, but he's a monk, right? And so like that, asuras are fallen god, but they're still god. A fallen monk is still a monk. And so I have some stories to back that up. Yeah, I will share. So sometimes even even our casual talk, when someone is like very misbehaving, very very bad person, so we sometimes disown them. So like, for example, it can be your own family member, so he does something very bad, then we disown him. Okay, he's no longer my son, no longer my brother, even though like you cannot unmake someone as your brother, right? You cannot, if someone is your brother, you cannot unmake him, right? Unless you kill him, he will always be your brother. But then you kind of disown him from your heart, saying, okay, he is no longer my brother. Similarly, because the asuras, the asuras are so, how to say, so infamous for their misbehavior, so the gods kind of disown them. So that's why the asuras became non-gods, or lesser gods, or demigods in that sense. So that is the concept of yeah, that's how the concept of asuras being other gods, or a little bit lower kind of gods came about. Yeah. So that kind of concept, so that is one of the concept. But ultimately, if you investigate further, even that seems to be untrue. So ultimately, when you investigate much deeper, which is, you can also call this like a dark period. So what actually happened is, the term asura is not a Sanskrit word at all. Yeah, it's not a Sanskrit word. It is the term asura. The existence of asura is not objectively true. The reason behind that is, according to the mythology, the gods and the asuras and the deva, they all are there in the beginning of the world and all these things, right? If that is the case, then the term asura should be there from the very beginning. But the term asura came much later. So we are talking about the terminology of devas and asura and all these things, which is a Sanskrit, which we normally, we usually think that this is a Sanskrit term, but actually it is not. The concept of Deva, right, the three higher realms, the two or three higher realms, and then the lower realms, all this concept of the universe, as I explained earlier, churning the ocean, taking the ambrosia, the nectar, all these things which came from the Hindu mythology. So the term Hindu comes from the civilization Indus, right? The Indus Valley civilization, which is in today's Pakistan, and that sort of. So there is the Indus Valley. There is the Indus Valley civilization. So people who live around that valley known as Indus, they become very well developed. They developed that we're talking about 3,300 BC. So they developed quite advanced. And then they also had of course, once things started to become more and more developed, you have the idea of God and other things too. So they, have this concept, and not at the same time, but after some time, as the time went on, another very important, very famous, very the powerful civilization also came about on the other side, which is called the Babylonian civilization, which came around 2,000 years BCE, right? 1800 BC, something like that. So which is, by the time the Babylonian came about, the Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization is already quite advanced. And then the Babylonian, which is like the Syria, Iran, and Egypt, all these things, today they're known by these names, the Middle Eastern countries. So there is the Indus Valley civilization, from which the name Hindu become in Hindu. And the term India also came from the term Hindu. So, so as the civilizations progressed, the Indus Valley civilization, which is the Indian side, right, which the Buddha Dharma came from India, so they had trade deals. They have trade with the Mesopotamian, the Babylonians. And then they have agreements and they have disagreements, okay? So they have disagreements and they have agreements. So when they have disagreements, they try to, what they fight sometime. And then when you have disagreement, you try to say bad thing about the other side, right? You say, okay, your people have small nose, you have, I don't know, small eyes, you are fat, I don't know, whatever you guys say. And also you start ridiculing their gods. So guess what is the name of the god in the Babylonian civilization, in the Assyrian world? So the gods in the Assyrian world, in the Mesopotamian civilization, the gods are called Asuras. So the gods from your side is a lesser god. My god is a higher god. Your god is a lower god. Even though it's a god, but it's not as good as my god. They are Asuras. So the Asura term is not Sanskrit term. It's actually from Babylonian. The Babylonians called their god Asuras. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So this came about. And when Buddha Dharma came, Buddha actually came still like about 1,000 years later after that. So when Buddha Dharma came, when Buddhist teaching spread around, a lot of things that is already widespread in the world at that time was not altered. Only the important things were altered. Like, for example, like caste-based discrimination, racial discrimination in India, which is prevalent at that time, which is very bad, negative influence for the society. That one, the Buddha altered. And the concept of self and no self, that is very important. That one Buddha altered. Other than that, most of the things that the Hindus or even the term Hindu is only 200 years ago. So before that, there is other terms for that. Yeah, so you can. Whatever is accepted, whatever is taught in the pre-Buddhist era, most of the things that is widely believed by popular society, the Buddha did not alter them. They just left it as it is. For example, the concept of Mount Meru, and for example, the concept of flat Earth. So, of course, Mount Meru, right? Mount Meru. Anyway, so I'll come back to that later. So these many of the things that is popular belief that is very hard for people of the that time to swallow. They just Buddha left it as it is. He did not alter them. Yeah. So therefore, the God, so according to like Buddhist concept, or according to what the Buddha found out, there is no asura that is different from the God. Basically, they are God, but fallen gods, you can call them. Disgraceful God, you can call them. So what is a disgraced God? So you are in the God realm, you are enjoying all the splendor, everything, but you still are not satisfied. Yeah, you still want the qualities, the property, um, the wives, the title, the power of what the other person has. So basically, the grass is greener on the other side. So a unsatisfied God is actually what Asura is. There is no separate Asura. Yeah. So therefore, in many of the Buddhist texts, many of um, the the extensive text that you read, comprehensive Buddhist text like Lamrim and others, you will find that they've mentioned 5 or 6 realms. So there is not, it doesn't have to be 6 exact. Like as I said earlier, someone when you fall from the disgrace, then you disown them, so they become like not God. So the funny thing is, the irony, yeah, is that in Tibetan, the word demigod, the Asuras, the term for Asura, right, is basically not God. So God is Tha in Tibetan. Asura is Tamayin, which means not God. So what is that? That's a God. What is that? Not a God.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So as I said, you will find many flows in the stories. If you look at it from a objective point of view, you will find many flows in the story. Um, as we know already that, so there's a question. I saw one of the question is about, so this is related to the question as well. And so one of the question is that, in our earlier teachings, we discussed that the gods live up to thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. And now, since they have the elixir of life, they live for eternity. How can that be? If they die after thousands of years, then how can they live for an eternal life? How is it? So, as I said, this is from the Hindu mythology. So what we refer to as Hindu is basically everything that predates the Buddha Dharma. All the concept that predates the Buddha Dharma, that is the concept of in India, there used to be tens of thousands of philosophies. Okay, at the very least, hundreds of major philosophies before the Buddha came. So all these philosophies kind of, have a similar outline, overview of the world, and this and that. Of course, they have their own distinct understanding, but majority of the things are similar, especially when it comes to evolution and this and that. And so what we call Hinduism today, right? The term Hinduism came about 200 years ago when the Britishers came to India. They are really confused because in England, in UK, in Great Britain, there is basically one or two religion, right? Basically, there is the Christianity, right? You can, yeah. Of course, later there's Protestant and Catholicism. There's that kind of thing, but it's all part of the Christ and all that. And then there's pagan religion, like worshiping fire, worshiping mountain, this and that. But it's kind of easy. So there is the paganism, and then there is the mainstream religion, which is Christianity, whatever. So it's very easy to, since when the Britishers wanted to rule India, they found that India has hundreds of philosophy, hundreds of religions, so confusing. And then I forgot the name of that, whoever that governor or lord, whatever that was. So basically, if you look up history, you will find easily, but I cannot remember right now. So he decided that, okay, let's decide India into two parts. There is one part who doesn't have an actual idol or anything, who believe in a sort of a religion that does not have idol or anything. That's called Islam, which you can find in other parts of the world. And I'm saying from the British point of view, right? Like in many other parts of the world. Then there is those who believe in different idols, different gods, this and that. So many gods are there. Gods with 100 heads, 1,000 wives, one flying horses, so many things like that. So basically, there is the visible God and the invisible God. So those with the invisible God, all Muslim. Those with all visible God is Hindu. Buddhism, Jainism, and everything else, Vaishnavism, Shaivism, so many things, all are just inducted into the title, the category of Hinduism. So Hinduism, that's how the term Hinduism was formed. So only much later, in Sri Lanka, of course, Buddhism, by that time, Buddhism is like kind of dead in India when the Britishers were still here. And later on, Buddhism thrived in Sri Lanka. And from Sri Lanka, many scholar monks went to UK. They taught in Cambridge and this and that. They held up the Buddhist Council, this and that. And Buddhism sort of had a how to say firm ground that is distinct from the Hinduism. So later on, the term Buddhism came, which also came from the English word, right? Buddhism. It's an English word, of course. So with the term Buddhism is about 100 years or 80 years, maybe 100 years old. Not very new. Sorry, not very old. It's new, fairly new. Hinduism is about 200 years old. So all this story the mythology that we just shared about the god and the demigod churning the ocean, this and that, comes from the Hindu mythology. So when I say Hindu, we're talking about all the texts that predates for the Dharma. Yeah. So yeah. So the main thing is that the Buddhist view is different from the Hindu view in that regard.
Yeah. Rinpoche, one is Muslim and one is Hinduism.
Hindu, yeah. So the invisible God is Muslim. Visible Muslim. God, yeah, is Hindu. Yeah. So there's only two religions. Yeah, so the British made that, so it's easier to rule the Indians.
But Muslim is not Islamic. Is not Islam. Muslim is not Islamic. Is not Islam. Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, Muslims are people who worship follow the Islamic rule, the Islamic religion, right?
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Islam is the religion. Muslim are the people.
Yeah.
Musalman. Actually, the term is Musalman, so it became Muslim, right?
Musalman. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so there is Islam and there is Hindu. There's only two religions. So the British made that. What I'm saying is, of course, Islam and all these religion they're much longer, but the term, the terminology Hindu was used by British around 200 years ago when they came to rule India. So in order to make it easy, so they make two religion. They say they categorize. They divide it into two categories. Invisible gods are all Muslim, and then of course you're not. Christianity is different, right? That's different. There's Christianity, which is followed by the colonialist, and then there is the local religion, two religion. Invisible gods are the Muslims, Islam, and the visible gods are Hindu. Whether you are Jain, whether you are Buddhist, doesn't matter. All of you belong to the Hindu category. That's according to the Buddhist. That's according to the British understanding. It's not a real. I'm not saying it's the objective truth. It's the British perspective. Colonial perspective. Yeah. So back to the question that Miss Ingrid asked. So the concept of the churning the ocean to bring out the all these things, the amrit, the nectar, and all these things. Even though it's not directly challenged by the Buddhist understanding, it is not accepted by Buddha Dharma. According to Buddha Dharma, this is untrue. So you will see a lot of flaws in there. For example, first of all, Mount Meru itself is a very questionable object, right? Now let's say even if you follow the concept of Mount Meru, like if you believe in the concept of Mount Meru, right? If you believe in the concept of Mount Meru is supposed to be the world. I mean, we talk about the universe, and within the universe we have this huge mountain called the Mount Meru, and everybody from the gods to the hell realm, everybody is sitting on that Mount Meru. So when you say you bring the Mount Meru into the ocean and churn it, so you are thinking of an ocean that is separate from Mount Meru. So in one concept, you are talking about Mount Meru representing the whole world, whole universe, right? And now if you say bring Mount Meru to the ocean, then there is an ocean already there, apart from Mount Meru, apart from where the Mount Meru is. So it doesn't make sense. And on top of that, putting Mount Meru on the back of a tortoise, right? It's a big giant tortoise, and put it on the tortoise because there's a belief that tortoise shell is very hard, right? It's quite hard, of course. So it is so hard that if you put Mount Meru on the top of the tortoise head bag, it will stay there. So these are like that. And then for me, the most unsettling part, even though it's not spoken in the Dhamma text at all, for me, the most unsettling part is the where the Lord Shiva comes to the picture. So Lord Shiva consumes the poison, takes the poison. He cannot bring it to his stomach because that will burn his stomach. But he can keep it in his, throat.
Yeah.
Even though it affected his throat and it became blue, but it did not burn, like it did not destroy his throat. At one point, you are saying that Lord Shiva is so powerful that he took all the poison in the ocean, which will actually kill everyone in the world. He can take that. Okay, let's say from that Lord Shiva is such a powerful being, he can take that. If he can keep it in his throat, he can also keep it in his belly. Right? Doesn't make sense why he cannot keep it in the belly. It will burn all of his intestine and everything, because intestines are more sensitive and the throat is not that sensitive, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of flaws in there. Anyways, it is not even though it's not directly challenged in the Buddhist by Buddha himself, he did not challenge that. But if you read all the Buddhist texts, this does not sit well. And there is no such thing as eternal life. And so from the Buddhist point of view, understanding the gods do not have an eternal life. They do live for thousands of years. They do live a very long life for sure. And so when you see someone living when you are, so what happened? So according to Buddhist, many Buddhist philosophy, the misunderstanding, right? The misconception came from this. The reason, the misconception, the misunderstanding that gods have an an infinite life came from this. So there are people who meditated, right? Have reached high level of meditation, to a certain level of meditation, and they can then they die, and then so they die, and then when they die, because they have a very long, very deep impact of meditation, so they can remember their past lives, so they can see God. So in their previous life, as a meditator, they have seen the God. So God is very young. So that meditator lived for 100 years, 200 years, whatever. So in his next life, he went and he could see the God still there. The God is still very young. And he dies. He also do a lot of practice. He dies. And then so basically, let's say the meditator or some of the great sages live for hundreds of years. The sages grow old and die. The gods are still young. And so basically you keep, and then in your next life, you can still remember your past life. So you remember seeing that God, which is very young, and he's still young. So you have this misunderstanding that, oh, the God have an infinite life. because I lived for this long, and I have seen even in my young age, the gods are young, and even now the gods are still young. So the god must be have an eternal life. So that is where the misunderstanding comes about. So this is very much challenged in Buddhism, but in Buddhist many Buddhist texts, this concept is challenged. Even though it's not directly challenged whether these things like churning the ocean, these things are true or not. Usually we refer to that as according to the Hindu mythology. That's what we use, the term that we use. Yeah. So we go back to the verse number 102. So we finished the the verse. So the Asuras begrudge the gods their splendor, right? So they are jealous of that. The second line, their inbred loathing thus torments their mind. So because they are always jealous of the gods' splendor, they are always suffering, even though they have all the wealth, all the quality, all the splendor, everything that the god have, they still have that. But they are unsatisfied. Yeah, their dissatisfaction makes them jealous and unhappy, and then it torments them, it haunts them like that. Yeah. So asuras are like a spoiled kid.
Yeah.
They have 100 toys to play with, but that they want the toy of the other kid. Yeah. So continue with the line number 3. Though clever, they are obscured as all their kind. So the asura, the kind, the asura kind, the asura, the asuras, their mind is obscured from seeing. So the last verse, and so it is they cannot see the truth. So here truth is not ordinary truth. Here the truth refers to the ultimate truth, which is the truth of emptiness, you can say, the truth of the ultimate truth, which is the truth of the emptiness, right? Nature of phenomena, the ultimate nature of all phenomena. So in God realm, there are many gods who who how to say, tame their mind. They become, we talk about how the god live in all vanity and all this and that, but there are many gods who are fortunate enough to come into senses after some time, and then they go to Dharma, they listen to Dharma, they practice, because they have a huge, they have a very long life, so they can practice for a very long time. They have a good memory. And then they can they can go to any place to listen to Dharma teachings from any teacher, right? So so if the god put their mind to it, they can actually practice much better, right? So there are many gods who do that. And in the god realm, there are many gods who can see the ultimate truth. So you can say that asuras, as we talked earlier, asura, there's in terms of like 5 realms, not 6 realms. If you say the asuras belong to the god realm, then you can say asuras are basically gods, fallen gods, are gods who do not have the ability to see the ultimate truth because of their karma. So when I say karma, because every birth is determined by the karma, positive karma, negative karma. So usually we talk about karma, we simplify into, okay, you have positive karma, you're born in the a higher realm, negative karma, lower realm, like very simple, right? So, but if you go into more detail, positive karma, even if it's a positive karma, so that positive karma, because we have accumulated so many karmas all over our life, right? In one life, we have done so many good things, so many bad things, so many neutral things like that. So a neutral thing doesn't score any point, right? Negative point, positive has positive points. So at the time of death, okay, that's the most important thing. That's why we try to play Dharma teaching, Dharma prayers, put the picture of the Guru, Buddha, whatever, beside the dying person's near the dying person's deathbed. So at the time of the death, all this positive and negative karma, which is like a slate, which is like your accounts sheet. In the account sheet, you have the credit and the debit. So it's all there. So at the time of the death, you choose which card to play. You choose, meaning at the time of death, if you are able to choose the positive card or the positive karma, if you're able to pick the positive karma, then you will have a rebirth in the higher realm. If you choose the negative karma, then you will have if you choose the negative card, you will have in the lower realm. And so choose the karma means all these karmas you have accumulated over this lifetime, previous lifetime, so many hundreds of lifetime. So all these karmas, you can think of those karmas as thawed meat. You know, when you put the meat in a freezer, it just becomes frozen, right? Then you have to thaw it. You have to kind of melt it, thaw, right? You have to, then you can cut it. If it's so like that, you have to pick one thing and then melt it, or you have to thaw it. And then when you do that, you can use a blunt knife, or you can use a very sharp knife. So the sharp knife and the blunt knife is basically what we call the propelling karma. So there are many different karmas. There is the accumulating karma, completing karma, propelling karma, like that. So the karma that you pick, it's a positive karma. So because of that, you are born in the higher realm. But the propelling, even though you picked of all the karma, positive and negative karma that you have stored in your life, previous lives or this life, even though you pick a good meat, but if you use a very blunt knife, it will be very hard to. If you use a rusty knife, it's a very good meat, but if you use a rusty knife to cut it, then the meat that will be ruined, right? The meat will be ruined. The taste will be ruined. Similarly, even though you are picking from one of your positive karma, so you have tens of thousands of positive and negative karma. So you pick a positive karma. You are able to pick one positive karma at the time of death. But the tongue that you use, when you pick something, you use your hand, a tongue or something. So in order to pick that karma, you have to rejuvenate that karma, and for a lack of a better word. So it's dried up there. So you have to thaw it. So, or you have to cut it with a knife, right? You're getting my point, right? So when you use the knife, which is basically another this is called the propelling karma. So if the propelling karma is negative, even if it's, so basically a negative karma or a negative thought picks up a positive karma, then you are born in the higher realm with negative, in a higher realm with a lot of suffering. You understand? Yeah, you were born in a rich family. Let's say in the human world, you're born in a very rich family, but your parents ignore you, neglect you, etc. Or you have you're born with all the wealth, but you cannot speak, you cannot walk, or something wrong with your feature, etc. Like that. So that's a positive karma, right? You are using one of your positive karma, but it was picked by a negative thought, right? Positive karma picked by negative thought gets you to a higher realm or an enjoyable situation with you are in that place, you are in a statehood where you can enjoy things, but you lack the ability to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what the Asuras are. So they were born in the God realm, but they cannot enjoy the God's pleasure, splendor, because their positive karma to be born in the God realm is picked by a negative thought at the time of death. I just thought of a better idea. So it's like a tea store, tea leaf. So in a huge tea store, you have hundreds of different tea leaves stored, compact tea leaves, right? Then you go there and then you can try the tea and test the tea and all that. So when you use a very high quality tea, right, tea leaf that's been stored for 40 years, 60 years, like that, very high quality tea leaf, right? So it's a dried tea leaf, a dehydrated tea leaf. You put it in a you cannot consume the tea directly. You have to put it in the water. So that water has to be clean and good water, basically, good quality water. If the water quality is bad, that will ruin the taste of the tea, right? Similarly, you can use bad tea in a good water, good tea in a bad water. So it can go 4 ways. Good tea in good water, good tea in bad water, bad tea in good water, bad tea in bad water, like 4 ways. So depending on that, good tea in good water means rebirth in higher realm, enjoying life. Good tea with bad water means rebirth in higher realms, suffering. Bad tea with bad water means suffering altogether. Bad lower realm, suffering. Yeah? Born in the animal realm, killed right away, slaughtered, etc. Yeah. Bad tea with good water. You're born in the animal realm as a dog, but the owner take care of you very well, protected. Have a very enjoyable life, etc. Like that. So that water is the intention that you have at the very last minute. Okay, your last thoughts are the most important thing at the time of death. So that last thought is the water. The karma is the tea bag that you have stored. It can be good karma, good quality tea, bad quality tea. Yeah, like that. So you get the point?
Yeah, I get it, Rinpoche.
Yeah. So okay, then the next where I just give the Tibetan Lung already given, right? Now the next verse, which is 103. Samsara is like this, and thus we are reborn as gods, as humans, denizens in hell, as ghosts or animals. But you should know that birds, not good, are part of many ills. So we are talking about a rebirth here. As long as we are reborn in the samsara, there is no good. Basically, you're going to suffer. Whether you are in the hell realm, you are in the higher realm, lower realm, doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, you come back to point zero. Yeah, so you keep coming. That's why it's called samsara. It's a cycle. You keep on going, keep on going. So you are not escaping you're not able to come out of that thing, right? When we look at when you go to the zoo, the animal like are roaming in the garden or whatever, right? Let's say a tiger, they roam around, they're walking. The tiger is walking from one place to another place, whatever, but it's still in that cage. So wherever they're going, they maybe go inside the cave, they may come out of the cave, go climb the rock, whatever, but still caged. A lot of time we do not realize that we are in the cage because we think we can go so far. But in reality, we have been caged. So as long as you are in samsara, meaning as long as you are reborn in samsara, suffering ensues. Suffering follows you like shadow. So the goal for the Buddha Dharma, so unlike pre-Buddhist philosophies, the idea for Buddha Dharma is not to become a god, not to become a demigod, not to be powerful, not to be magical. These kind of things are not the goal, not the end goal. Because even if you become the god, if you become the most powerful god in the world, after a few thousand years, you still die. Yeah. So then when you die, all your merits are exhausted and you have to start from zero. You have to start from scratch. So that's why the aspiration, the goal for Buddha Dharma followers of Buddha Dharma is to escape the matrix, escape samsara, get out of samsara, break the cage, not to live comfortably. Our goal is not to live comfortably in the cage. Our goal is to break the cage and come roam free from the cage. That's the goal. Okay, so I will go to the chat box and pick up the questions. So the sister Ingrid question already answered, right? And then one from Brother Chung, I think. So I'll read it out. Could you please explain more about the difference between Nilakant and Mahakarunika Dharani, which is the mantra? So, which I think is the most chanted in Vietnam and China. In Wikipedia, they say these are two names for the same thing. And some used to say that Lord Arya Avalokiteshvara has origin from Lord Shiva. I just want to know this so that I can reject that idea, Rinpoche. So okay. So first of all, I haven't actually seen I haven't seen the actual body of the Nilkanta Dharani. Okay. Mahakarunika, basically Mahakaruni is Genrisic. Genrisic is sometimes called as referred to as Karuni Maya. Karuni Ma. Karuni means Karuni, or Karuna means compassion. So the mother of compassion, the god of compassion, the lord of compassion. Basically, that's Genrisic. So there is a very long Genrisic mantra. So even longer than the one that we used to recite, Namo Radha Ya Namo Aya, that one, even longer than that one. There's something called Mahakarunikaya Dharani. It's very long, I think about 4 pages. Yeah. So that one, and I have seen that one, of course, that's the Karuni one. The Nilkant, I haven't seen. Okay. The Nilkant mantra, I haven't seen, so I cannot say which is which. Of course, the Mahakarunika Dharani is belong to the Genrisic. It's known as the most extensive Genrisic mantra as well. So because I haven't seen the other mantra, I cannot say whether it's correct or incorrect. As I said before, Nilkanda is not the term Nilkanda is not associated with Genrisic. It's associated only with Lord Shiva. Yeah, first that one first. Yeah. Then the second part of that same question is and some say that Lord Avalokiteshvara has origin from Shiva. No, that's incorrect, totally incorrect. But I can understand. I've so many Tibetan, even monks, okay, senior monks, so they're also confused. I understand the reason behind that. It comes from the name Avalokiteshvara. So Avalokiteshvara has a name Lokiteshvara, or sometimes we call him Avalokeshvara. Okay, Lokiteshvara, Lokita means the world. Loka means the world. Lokita means the world, universe, etc. Ishvara means Lord. Ishvara of the Lokita, which means Lord of the world. So it is a term that we used with Genrisic. We used to refer to Genrisic as Avalokiteshvara, or the Lord of the world. Sometimes we also call him in Tibetan Jigden Sumgun. Jigden means world in Tibetan. Sum is 3, and Gun means Lord. Okay, Lord of the 3 worlds. 3 worlds meaning higher world, lower world, hell realm, heavenly realm, and the human realm. So the 3 world. So Lord of the 3 realm, Jigden Sumgun. In Hinduism, Lord Shiva is also referred to as Trilokeshwar. Trilokeshwar. 3 is 3. That English 3 comes from Sanskrit tree. 3. Lok is world. Ishwar means Lord. Lord of 3, or Lord of the 3 world. Trilokeshwar. And he's also referred to as Lokeshwar. Lokeshwar, Lord of the world. Trilokeshwar, Lord of the 3 world, etc.
Yeah.
So basically, Lord Shiva is referred to as Lokeshwar, Lord of the world, Lokeshwar, and the Genrisic is also referred to as Lokeshwar. And because of that, many masters, you can say, many Tibetan and maybe Chinese also, when they came to India, Indians at that time, when Nalanda was in full glory, Tibetans and Chinese, everybody who come to India, they have such a mystified view of the Indian society, everything. So they regard India as very high, a source of wisdom, etc. And then everything that is taught by an Indian master, they regard as true, including, and then when it comes to names such as Lokeshwar, because you have been in your whole life, you have been taught that Lokeshwar means Genrisic, and all of a sudden they give you a Lokeshwar mantra, you think, oh, this is Genrisic mantra. But in Hinduism, Lokeshwar means Lokeshwar is reference to Lord Shiva. Yeah. So these kind of things happen. So people, and then there are many masters, senior masters, Tibetan masters, even today, very popular ones, saying that Lord Shiva is a Buddhist icon. And if you look at all the mainstream Buddhist texts, whether you read the sutra or the mainstream Buddhist tantric text, commentary by earlier Indian masters, this cannot be further from the truth. Lord Shiva is a Hindu god. There are many instances where Lord Shiva actually, of course, there are stories where Lord Shiva came and prostrated and took refuge from the Buddha and this and that. That's a different matter. But as a deity, it's a Hindu deity, not a Buddhist deity. Two different. Nothing to do with Lord Shiva, nothing to do with Avalokiteshvara. Totally different person. No relation at all. So it's like this. I have a very good American friend called Mike Tyson, okay? And then he wanted to become a monk. And then I bring to His Holiness Dalai Lama, and then I let him ordain, he become a monk. And then I tell my other friends, some of my Vietnamese friends, that, oh, Mike Tyson has become a monk. And then it came into the news all over, I don't know, like your friend circle, whatever. Oh, Mike Tyson, the boxer, has become a monk. So so actually, it's not Mike Tyson, the monk, the boxer who became a monk. It's just a regular American guy called Mike Tyson who became a monk. So it's totally two different people. Just the name is similar, like that.
Yeah.
So last question is from Charlene, Sister Charlene. So how to train our mind avoiding using positive karma without poison? Thank you. I think most of the time, even in our daily activity, these kind of things occur. So that's correct. So that's why we have to bring awareness to the mind all the time. So meditation is at one point, meditation is all about focusing. And another thing about meditation is about bringing awareness, being alert, remaining alert, and bringing awareness. So your mind, if you bring awareness, if you bring alertness, if you keep alert, then you'll be able to keep the poisons away. There's a very good the analogy from the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar, the way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva, where he says, if you are in a battle, right? In ancient time, people fight with sword. So when you are in a battle, you fight, somebody hits you, and the sword falls down from your hand. What will you do? You will not just hang. You will not. The moment you realize the sword has fallen from your hand, you will try to grab a spear, or you will try to get the sword back, or basically, the moment you realize the sword has fallen, you will get it back, and then protect your life. So similarly, your mind should always be aware and alert like that. And by doing so, the poisons can be kept at bay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that's we conclude that we went a little bit off the time, so I'm really apologize for that. Okay, to the dedication now. Kiwa di nyu do da lama sangye chugyuro nen do wa che kyang ma le ba ki sala ge bara sho chanju semjo rembo je ma ge ba na ma ge gyuro ke ba nyam ba me ba yang kon ne kon do be wa sho mi me enze we de jen jen jesi je me kembe wine boy john be de boy ma de john man ze sang we no kan jen kembe so ken zong kan ba lo so time be sha bla su wan de lo so time be sha bla so wan de Denbe Ningbo Zimbe Ben Xing Namang to Yukun La Chanchu Be Lopsang Chigi Jamzo Chugun Tengi and Jordan Tambar so on.
Thank you, Rinpoche La.
Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche La. We wish you very good health, long life, and all your dharmic activity will be fruitful to benefit all the sentient beings, Rinpoche La.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rinpoche La. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Rinpoche.
Cảm ơn Rinpoche La.